Hi, I'm Henrietta. Is the coronavirus with the shelter-in-place ordinances and all of the social distancing stressing you out? Well, I have 5 guests on this upcoming edition of Talking with Henrietta who'll give you some tips about what they're doing and what you can do to stay mentally healthy. So join us. So thank you so much for being here, the 5 of you. It's a pleasure to have you here on my show. We're going to be talking about how we can deal with the stresses of living during the coronavirus. And so I'd like to start by asking each of you to say something about yourself, a brief introduction, and then we'll proceed. So, Crystal Crowley, why don't we start with you?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Crystal Crowley. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist in private practice in Oakland at Sankofa Holistic Counseling.
Yes, and want to say something else about yourself?
Well, you said brief, so I was trying to shorten it. I primarily work with Black and Brown clients. That's my area of focus, to work with people of color, to work around our trauma, historical and otherwise, of living in the world. And so I also work with patients with depression, anxiety, and again, my area of focus is traumatic situations.
Interesting. Well, the coronavirus is certainly a traumatic situation.
Certainly.
Sure.
Gabriella?
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriella. I'm with Voices of Recovery. I am a RAP facilitator and a recovery coach. And something interesting about me is I am a transgendered woman, and I am currently in school right now to also pursue social work. So I want to work with like trans youth and the LGBT community. That's like my focus that I want to go into.
Sure. Thanks. Greg?
Hi, my name is Greg Thompson. I also work at Voices of Recovery, San Mateo County.
Okay. We can go on to Sharon.
Hi, everyone. I am Sharon Heath. I am the program director for Voices of Recovery. Co-founder is Raymond Mills, our executive director. We specialize in peer-to-peer recovery organization. And right now, let's see, a thing about me is, just trying to understand and get around the new technology and still offer support to the peers that are so in need of it.
Well, I think you're obviously doing a very good job. And
Thank
Dr.
you.
Mary Bains.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me, Henrietta. My name is Dr. Mary Bains, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist in practice, private practice in 2 cities, East Palo Alto, California, and San Juan Bautista, California. I'm currently helping people, as many as I can, through telehealth and the social distancing that we're doing right now. My areas of expertise are that I have an eclectic approach, and I see a variety of patients, the youngest from ages 6 and the oldest to 60. And so my goal is to help people navigate through this crisis that we are all in, and truly we are all in it together. And so I try to help reduce the anxiety associated with the isolation that's going on, and to help minimize the stress and the stressors that people are going through currently.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll have to save something for the rest of the show.
That's right. All right. That's right. I was supposed to be brief. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You're talking about relieving the stressors.
Yes.
And so let's talk as far as the time that we're in right now. What do you think might be the greatest stress? And I'd like to get a response from all of you. Sharon, what would you say?
I would say the greatest stress is trying to adapt to staying in and being sheltered inside and wondering, trying to figure out what do you do with your time and remain grateful even though you are inside. So yeah, that's a huge thing with me is being inside, but I have to remain grateful even though I can't do the things that I'm used to doing.
Sure. Gabriella, what do you think might be one of the greatest sources of stress now?
So one of the greatest stressors right now,
Mm-hmm.
the lack of employment right now. A lot of us are really struggling. Like I, for myself, I live with my partner, and there's only one income coming in right now, and I'm trying to make that ends meet. But thankfully, we have a lot of resources that are available to us that help us, through these financial hard times.
Sure. Crystal, what would you say?
In my estimation, I feel like what we're dealing with that's causing a lot of stress is the uncertainty of everything.
Yes.
We worry about our health, the health of our loved ones, whether they're in the home with us or out of the home, because we're so disconnected from folks right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as you all know, uncertainty causes anxiety, uncertainty causes panic, which is why folks are buying all this toilet paper that they don't need,
That's
they have something that they can control.
That's true.
Uncertainty fuels panic and anxiety. And just, the uncertainty is really hard for folks to handle because we don't know what's going to happen from day to day. Like Gabriella was saying, we don't know when folks are going to go back to work. We have, one income or no income. Folks are wondering where their next meal is going to come from, how they're going to feed their families, how they're going to, pay their rent. So just a genuine idea of not knowing from one moment to the next and that loss of control, I find that is a big problem.
Okay, we have uncertainty, we have unemployment, we have sheltering in place. Greg, what would you say might be the biggest source of stress right now?
So for me personally, it's definitely the shelter in place and just like adapting to like a new way of living and like doing everything online rather than in person. I don't like sitting in the house all day. So that's a big adjustment for me. But I think for like everyone overall, it's probably, the lack of unemployment, and then also like just worrying about your family members and like the health of everyone, I would say is probably what a lot of people are stressing and freaking out over.
Mary, you were last, and we'll just assume right now that you'll be first. They'd say the last shall be first.
Of course. Thinking about the greatest stressors that we are all subjected to, there are a number of them. The isolation, the unawareness of what the future holds, the idea of possibly becoming infected, unknowingly, the sickness of your loved ones, and the sense of a lack of control over a circumstance are the greatest stressors that I've been experiencing from different ones that I've been talking with over the last 4 or 5 weeks. That were, and you start to lose the days too. You start to get them mixed up from one day to the other.
But I becomes Sunday.
Yeah, but I have found that the the greatest amount of challenge and stress is from the unknown and the uncontrollable. So if we can look for things that we can control, if we can look for things in our life that we have control over and that we can manage, we can lessen our anxiety and our apprehension and our stress by saying, well, I cannot control what's going on out there right now.
Well, let's talk about that. So we've gone through what are some of the major sources of stress that you've selected, and let's talk about how do you think right now we're managing as a country?
Some of us are managing better than others.
Okay, now, Sharon, would you? Yeah, that seems to be obvious. Would you say, Sharon?
And I would say yes, but I think that I feel like, you know, for those of us who are finding the tools to use are the ones who are actually operating better than others. For instance, you know, you have to stay at home you have to shelter inside, but what are you doing inside besides just worrying about not going outside? So, you know, Zooming is an excellent source. Get online and talk to a friend or talk to your coworkers.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about this idea of sheltering in place. It seems that you've really interpreted that as staying inside. Do you think that's what that directive really means, staying inside? Can people at least walk to the front of their houses?
Yeah, I think it's more the social distancing, right? You know, not actually being able to
Gather,
reach out and touch.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, would the rest of you agree with that? And we'll go back, Sharon, when you talk about the tools, and we'll go back and discuss whatever tools there are that we could use. So, Greg, what are your thoughts in terms of how you think everybody is coping?
I mean, I think most people I know personally are doing okay with it, but from watching the news and things like that, and then when I do go out, I think a lot of people are definitely struggling with it and are panicking over the situation. And I think a lot of it is like the fear of the unknown, like someone else mentioned. It's just causes panic and not knowing what's going to happen. And people are scared of each other and like getting too close to people or touching other, you know, stuff that other people have touched. And it's just very different than what we are used to usually. So
when you go out, Greg, do you find most people are wearing masks?
Definitely, yeah. Especially lately, I think more and more now. And San Mateo County, I think you're supposed to if you're out.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Oh, yes.
But almost all the time, I see most people wearing masks, yes.
So Gabriella, how do you think people are coping? Now, I talked about it being stressful. Do you think most people, those that you've run into or those that you've heard about, see this as a stressful time?
Yes and no. So I'm pretty known out here in East Palo Alto, so I have a lot of friends. And some of my friends, most of them are doing good, but then there's some that are in, you know, difficult relationships right now. And I've been reading a lot that, you know, the domestic violence has been going up. And so it's sort of a win-win, but it's also, I don't know how to explain it. It's not even a win-win, you know, it's different. It's so different because people were so used to doing their daily thing. Like, for example, me, every Tuesday, one of my wellness tools was to go to the movie. Movies are shut down now, you know? So what do? It's time to start zooming in.
You know?
Go to the movie at home.
Yeah.
Transform your home into a theater.
Get the popcorn out.
Crystal.
Some M&Ms or Raisinets, you know? You have.
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, any thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, I think that it's, you know, sort of been my experience that a lot of people are struggling with it, especially I've been finding, you know, with clients that I see, it's even, you know, more prevalent in folks who live alone because all you have is you. You know, you have I've seen these memes where people are inventing these games that they play by themselves. I saw one lady playing wine pong. She had taped a bunch of cups to her and was looking in the mirror and throwing the ping pong ball, and every time it lands she would take a drink.
Oh!
So people are so, I think I'm so impressed with you humans because they're so incredibly resilient, and we will find a way to entertain ourselves. But it just seems like folks are really having issues with just being inside, and, you know, even going to Starbucks for that latte on Monday mornings on your way to a meeting, or, you know, being able to walk in by Lake Merritt, you know, which is very common where I live, and just, you know, trying to create this new normal is kind of setting a lot of anxiety in folks that I've been finding.
So you mentioned something. You just said something. New normal. What do all of you think the new normal might be?
I think the new normal is moving toward the higher use of technology in terms of communicating with one another, okay? The higher use of technology in terms of carrying out your day-to-day business, like banking or shopping. There's so much that the new normal is going to depend on in terms of technology. And I think that technology has been put in place for a day such as today, so that we can have this meeting right now. Technologically, we couldn't do this years ago if we were in a pandemic or a crisis. We couldn't do this years ago. We would have to just wait until the thing passed through. But with the advent of technology, there's a lot more that we can do. There's a lot more reaching out that we can do. And I wanted to speak to a comment that you made, the therapist from Oakland, about isolation in those alone in home. You know that our lives are busy before this whole thing happened, right? We have appointments to do this, appointments to do that, and there are things right in our immediate home that we couldn't get to. We're so busy with the business of living and working and managing that. So now we have an opportunity, since we're in sheltering in place, to look at those things in our home that we wanted to do so badly, that we wanted to get to. Maybe we wanted to do some art, or maybe we wanted to learn some music, or a lot of different things, you know.
So let's talk about that. Do you find people are getting involved in things in their homes?
I find that they are doing it by choice, and also because they don't have other things to do to get in the way of it.
Okay, so let's have others talk about that. That's a question for the rest of you. What do you think people might be occupying themselves with now?
So, Dr. Mary, I have a tendency to agree with you, because one of the things I hated to do and didn't do was cook. And now that I have all this time on my hands, I get a recipe out, and that's if I can find flour in the store.
Yes.
But now I can't find, I found time to actually spend some time doing those enjoyable things that I didn't have the time to do.
Yeah.
So that's where I say remaining grateful in this time. There's so many things that I couldn't do that I can do now. So
yes, go on. I was going to say, let's talk more about that being grateful, because a lot of people might feel being grateful might not be at the top of their list right now. So I'd like to hear everybody talk about that. What does that mean to you? And do you think that's something that most people might feel?
Well, I just wanted to add really quick that, as humans, we're social beings. And so as social beings, even if we are alone, that's really difficult. Even if we have, things to do, we're still social beings. And I think it's been my experience going through this for the past, I don't know, what has it been, 2 months?
Yeah.
That even if we do have the option of being alone, it's by choice. Now it's by force.
That's
Like,
true.
you don't get to take advantage of going out, to meet up with a friend. Now you have to stay home. And so I think that
Right.
that's really causing a lot of stress in people. And
Greg, what do you think about that?
what's that?
I was asking Greg, what does he think about it?
About what's the question again? Sorry, about.
Well, the staying in and the being alone and how most people might be occupying themselves. Are they occupying themselves cleaning house? For example, the family and friends that I can't say that you're around since we're supposed to be isolating ourselves, but
I mean, so I am with my family. I live with my family, and we have definitely, like, they've had the kitchen they've been trying to remodel for like a few years, but it always got put on the back burner, and they've been working on that a lot. I have been cleaning a lot. Like, I've been working in the backyard doing stuff and just, yeah, trying to do productive things. But, I think I probably, like a lot of people, find myself watching TV and playing on my phone probably a little more than I should or would be if I wasn't in this situation. But I'm trying to stay productive. I'm definitely grateful. I'm still working, and that I can still go to like meetings on Zoom and whatnot. So
you're working at home.
I am working from home with Voices, yeah.
Yes, Gabriella. Are you involved in the cleaning process? The baking process?
Yeah. So for me, the same thing with me. I'm like really grateful about that we're able to work from home right now. And I think that's definitely been helping me because it gives me something to do. It gives me something to do. I know that I'm busy here. And then right when I'm done here, I'll like go on my walk. I usually do a walk after work, come right back, have dinner, and then I have more stuff to do because I'm in school. So school is definitely keeping me busy. So many assignments to do.
So, Crystal, do you think a lot of people you're dealing with are cleaning up their houses, are baking? I did read that a lot of baking is being done now in houses, especially bread and all of the recipes that people didn't have a chance to do before.
I baked my second cake in 25 years.
Oh.
So you guys have flour in your area?
It was a box cake.
Okay, because we don't have flour.
I would agree.
Stores.
Yeah, I would agree that a lot of people are baking. Like I don't eat wheat flour or white flour. I do a keto diet, so I use almond flour. So I've found, me personally, I've been doing a lot of baking. My creativity has gone through the roof. I think I could be a contender on America's Next Top Chef. I have been cooking so much. But I've been finding a lot of folks that's what everybody's doing, and just coming up, like I said, we're so creative and resilient as humans. We've just been finding a way to get through this.
Yes.
Well, I just find that amazing because we've gone from, let's say, the stress to creativity.
Yes.
Baking, the cleaning up the yard. Yes, exactly. And I've been reading that more and more people are getting seeds to plant vegetable gardens. So it seems that maybe all isn't doom and gloom, even with the stresses.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The name of my organization is Mind, Music, Body, and Spirit Connection. Okay? And so this pandemic crisis has allowed the opportunity to reach out to the parts of our mind. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. But it kind of breaks up some.
Okay. I was just saying that this pandemic crisis has allowed the opportunity to connect to other pieces and other parts of our lives that we may not have thought about connecting to before the pandemic crisis.
Yeah, for sure.
Connect to some music, connect to poetry, connect to art, connect to baking, connect to doing something with your hands, some other forms of creativity.
So do you think, we talk about the stress and we're talking about what we can do to get through it. And I'm obviously talking to a group of people who are very creative. Do you think that what you're expressing might be kind of unique, that's about you? Or do you think a lot of other people going through what we're going through are expressing that same type of creativity? We heard about this woman making her own game, but she was taking a drink after every win. Hopefully she didn't win too often, huh?
Let's hope not. You might be creating another problem.
She wasn't driving anywhere, so she was okay.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people that you've run into have tapped into this level of creativity?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, I'd like any of you who'd like to answer. Gabriella?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I think a lot of people that I've been running into have been using different kinds of creativity. So I know they're going from coloring to, like Crystal said, to doing your own game, to like puzzles. And I know definitely like a lot of social media platforms have been skyrocketing, like TikTok. TikTok is definitely one that I myself, like once I'm done and I need a break, I myself spend like an hour or two just scrolling and looking at the different videos, and then I'll like try to copy a video. And I think that's what gives me the fun in it, like I can move, I can do whatever I want, I can mimic this video, not just by myself, and I could do it through a Zoom meeting, and we can all do the TikTok video together. You know what I'm saying?
Give me an example of one of those TikTok videos. Is it dancing?
Yeah, so it's dancing. There's one that I know so far is the Renegade. So it's just a dance where you dance and then you just do the little steps and you record yourself while you're doing it.
And the good part about it is once you record yourself, someone else picks it up and then it's like viral. Everybody's trying to do the same dance. So it's all over the...
Is that only on TikTok?
They take it from TikTok to Facebook to everything.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
So how many of you have videos on TikTok? Greg, do you have any videos out there?
I do not have a video on TikTok. No, that's
on YouTube.
On YouTube, no. I'm not big on the social media thing so much. I think though, like, one thing, I think people are very creative, and I feel like now, like, there's a lot of stress the first couple weeks, but now it's like kind of fallen into a more of a routine, and people are like getting better at the shelter in place. And I know, like, I'm a big part of like the 12-step community, and like, we can't have meetings anymore, but they have those on Zoom now.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing, like, someone, I think it was Dr. Mary, mentioned earlier, like, without this technology, like, if this would have happened like 20, 30 years ago,
right,
I think it would be a lot harder to deal with. Whereas today, like, we have the tools where we can still interact with people. We can go to meetings, we can go to support groups, we can see family that we're not allowed to see. So I think everyone's doing a good job, like, getting creative and doing what they can to make the best of a situation, that we have no control over. So
sure, technology has really made a difference in our lives, and I'm reminded of the 1918 flu epidemic, where people didn't have it, millions died, and yet somehow people must have done something, because at that time they were told to quarantine themselves, many of them to stay in. So I guess our lives will never be the same. What do you think about that, all of you? Have our lives changed?
Yes, our
Basic changes in our lives.
there are changes. There are some major changes. I think that we are never going to know life as it was before. That this is changing our lives for the future. I'm grateful. You talked about thankfulness earlier, Henrietta, and I didn't get to respond in terms of why and how I'm seeing the thankfulness and why I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we have this technology. I'm grateful that I'm not, my loved ones aren't sick and friends aren't sick yet, or hopefully that we're taking the steps by this lockdown or whatever, or this social distancing that we're doing, and the sanitizing that we're doing, and all the careful steps that we're taking. That I'm grateful and thankful for that. And my concern is that we don't move too soon back to how our lives used to be, and then we have a worse epidemic than we would have had we taken the steps slower. Yeah. But
my understanding is that the freeways are getting more crowded these days.
They are.
Yeah, they are.
It's just amazing that people in other states, and even including Sacramento, were protesting the shelter in place. And there was a woman in Texas who opened up her beauty salon. And so it seems that not everybody is in agreement as to sheltering in place until we flatten the curve.
They're not understanding.
Is it a matter of understanding, or is it a matter, Gabriella had talked about the unknown. I think it was you, Gabriella, who talked about the uncertainty.
Well, I believe that was Crystal, but
was it Crystal?
Yeah, but to speak on it, I do agree about the whole uncertainty thing. And I think it's mostly because, again, people are unemployed, people are hungry, people, can't deal with the whole staying at home. And if you have mental health issues, it's even harder on you.
Yeah.
So with the mental health issues on top of you dealing with the whole shelter in place, it's a very critical time. And so we're trying to be understanding. We're trying to move as fast as we can, but we also got to be careful. And I agree with what Dr. Mary says. With, if we open too fast, we can all get sick and fall back into another shelter in place for even longer.
Yes.
How do you get people to understand? Because, with the protests going on.
There was a woman in the store yesterday in the market who was not wearing a mask, and it's an ordinance that we wear masks in the store, and she wanted to make a statement. Her statement was she was protesting that it was her right not to wear. So, of course, since she was behind me, I had some concerns, and I addressed her and I said, "Are you watching the news?" She says, "I don't watch the news."
Oh my. And did you continue the conversation?
I continued the conversation. I said, therein lies the problem there. Because if you were watching the news, you would become aware of why we are doing the things that we're doing to keep people safe. It's not our rights, It's not about taking any rights. She gave me like a vacant look, like it wasn't computing.
Those are fighting words.
Well, yeah, I de-escalated the situation to the point where I left her with this.
They eventually get that way.
Do me a favor and everyone else, watch the news.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, some people are being told that you look at the news too much, it's stressing people out. Crystal, it seems that you were the one who talked about the uncertainty. Anything more you'd like to say about that? Is it that uncertainty, do you think, that's pushing people to protest? Or is it just a lack of unemployment, the lack of the money coming in, and the fears that people have, whether they just feel that it's worth the risk?
Well, I completely understand that folks are worried about money, worried about paying their bills, worried about, feeding their kids and whatnot. I also think that these protests speak to, the overwhelming amount of privilege, assumed privilege that people have. Privilege that, you know, I don't have to listen because I've, you know, lived in this world for X amount of years, and so have my relatives and folks before me, my generations before me, that we don't have to listen because we're, you know, the privilege, especially in this country, we, you know, we have a lot of perks and comforts. And so we tend to, when those are taken away from us, we tend to rebel. And so I think that yes, there is an uncertainty, but there's also privilege around, well, I don't care what they say, I'm just going to do what I feel like doing, but not, you know, we also in some ways have a really selfish society. So I don't really care if you get sick because I'm comfortable not wearing a mask. I mean, I can't breathe with that thing on either, but I'm going to wear it. I hate that
Get
mask.
on a ventilator, you'll breathe even, get on a ventilator and you'll breathe even less.
Right. I can't stand wearing that mask. It makes my face itch and I can't breathe, but I bet you I'm still going to wear it every day.
Maybe
I want to live. And I want you all to live.
Or maybe get a different type of mask, huh? Or keep experimenting with.
That's what I've been doing. I've tried them all.
Invent your own.
Yeah, but I don't care. It can itch. I don't care because I want everybody that I come in contact with to be healthy, and I want to be healthy.
So you have your priorities.
Yes, and I think if we looked at it that way, it doesn't matter what you think. What about if you know, you have a 90-year-old plus grandmother at home and you go home and you give that to your grandmother and she doesn't make it because you want to assert your privilege.
Yes.
Well, you have heard of several politicians who say that the older generation should be willing to sacrifice themselves to open up the country so that people go back to work and get the economy going, that's more important.
Yes.
So
again, that speaks to our privilege.
Yes. And our lack of awareness about the larger community is more important than us as individuals.
Well, I will simply say, when you said our privilege and our lack of awareness, you're not talking about yourself, right?
No, I said our just in general. And Dr.
Mary Bains, you were saying that just goes to point to our privilege. Yeah. So you were not talking about yourself. I just want to make that clear.
I was kind of like that situation. If the shoe fits, wear it. So not everybody does it, but I just say our just general.
Well, I'm trying to get you all out of the shoe because
okay,
you shouldn't be wearing it. And so I only wanted to make it clear that you're not talking about yourself.
No.
You're talking about our society.
Yes.
In general, yes.
Yes, exactly.
I'm doing whatever's necessary.
I'm in compliance with whatever we need to do to save us as a group of people and to minimize the damages this disease is causing, minimize stress, minimize anxiety. I'm doing whatever I'm asked to do that.
For sure.
Yes.
I feel like that. I feel like I'm doing whatever whatever's required of me. But then we also have to think about, I'm grateful and it's easy to be grateful when you got a job and you've got income coming in. Mm-hmm. But to not have a job and not have income coming in, not educated enough to know that, hey, I go out there trying to support my family, I can kill myself or other people. I think that, rather than, it's hard for me to just look at someone and say, it's like I went in the store and the store finally had toilet tissue and the lady was hoarding the toilet tissue. And for me, I think, you know what, you just buy one, and if you buy one, there'll be plenty for everybody else.
Right.
Yes.
Not knowing this lady and not knowing what is going through her head or her anxiety behind it, I couldn't just point fingers and say, lady, put that back. And everything in me just quit, not say, put some of those back.
Well, it's my understanding, one theory that there's so much toilet paper being purchased is that there are more and more people at home. They're not at school, they're not at work, they're at home. So that's one of the explanations now.
It says it calms them. White is a calming theme.
You think that's it?
Something white and fluffy calms you.
Mm-hmm. But it's also the one thing that you can control. Like I can't control what happens with this pandemic, but I can control how if I get 6 billion rolls of toilet paper. I can control that. And I know that I'm going to be stopped. Whether I use it or not doesn't matter, but I have control of how much I can buy. And that's true. Anxiety.
Yeah. They're on the measuring scale for the 200 top anxiety stressors. One of them on that 200 measuring scale is the possibility of not having enough toilet paper.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
It used to be the number one fear was public speaking. Now
that's on the list. It's in there, but not having enough toilet paper is on there.
That's crazy.
Yes, given the fact that many of our ancestors didn't have it.
Exactly.
Right?
No.
Yeah, and that's just as a very brief aside. I heard someone on the radio talking about all the things you could substitute.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I said. I can think of a number of things.
Yeah.
So, in the time that we have left, Sharon, you had talked about the tools. Earlier on, you had talked about the tools. So, when it comes to maintaining our mental well-being, or just our well-being in general, what tools were you thinking of that we could use?
Well, I think that from listening to everyone, there's been a number of tools that has been discussed or brought up. And I think, that's where I'm so fortunate to work where I work. And that's at Voices, because we bring in people that don't know what to do during this time or have all this anxiety. And the tools that we share with them is could be anything, such as taking a walk. You get so built up and so your anxiety is so high. You can take a walk. A simple walk around the block is a tool that is helpful for me. And another one is growing vegetables. I'm able to go out. I love tomatoes, fresh tomatoes and cucumbers. Oh my God. So finally I got to do that. So those are just a couple of tools that I say it helps me with my mental health.
Walking and getting in touch with nature.
Yes, most definitely.
So let's go around. Greg, I haven't heard a lot from you. And, what tools might you suggest, or whatever tools you might be using yourself?
I also have been taking a lot of walks. I feel like just getting out of the house right now and like exerting some energy is very important. I've been trying to start exercising more. Obviously we're limited. We can't go to the gym like I was before. So, you got to get creative with that and your workouts. And then, really like Zoom and like doing the rap groups with Voices, doing 12-step meetings online, just being able to stay in touch with like my loved ones and my friends. Like a lot of times just being able to talk about like your fears and your problems and your anxieties like helps a lot, just to have someone to talk to and listen. So I think just reaching out and, I'm just grateful for the technology. So,
yeah.
Sure, that's terrific. Gabriella.
Definitely also taking walks. I play Pokemon Go, so that's an app. And the Pokemon Go, you just turn it on and you walk around. You can see a map of everywhere where you're at. And I literally walk around these locations, and I take a good hour walk So that usually keeps me okay. And then I also have a cat, so I'm playing a lot more with my cat. I'm pretty sure he's annoyed because we're not going anywhere.
Oh, you mean he's not grateful for the added attention?
Yeah, so I even take my cat with me on a walk. I bought a backpack that I can put the cat inside, and I walk around.
And how is the cat taking that one?
Well, the cat, at first, he didn't like it. He was like meowing. And then the second time I put him inside the backpack, we got home. I opened it so he can get out. He got out and went right back in.
You know, I have 2 dogs, and I used to see a woman walking her dog, and she had a cat that followed, and I thought that was the most amazing thing. So I didn't know, maybe if you had your cat on a leash.
I have him on a leash too. So I carry him in the backpack, and then once we get to like a nice nature setting, I'll let him out with his leash, and he'll like sniff around, but he won't go too far. And then I'm also cooking. I've never cooked before, so
Oh, really?
really, I'm learning all these new skills. But I'm not the greatest, but I'm not the worst either.
Crystal.
You're gonna have to visit Crystal.
Well, I like to cook and bake anyway, but because I've changed my diet, I like it. It tastes good to me, and everybody that I've share it with likes it. But besides cooking and baking, my daughter, I have an adult daughter that doesn't live with me, and she has to go to work, but I get to work at home, so she drops her puppy off. And so I spend time with the puppy. We go on walks, and he keeps me busy because this puppy literally translates into a 2-year-old toddler.
Oh, yes.
So I chase after him all day, take things out of his mouth. So he keeps me busy. And I noticed that he keeps my anxiety down because when I pet him, because research does show that petting animals keeps your anxiety down. So
and lowers your blood pressure.
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time cuddling and when I'm not walking him. So it's been really helpful for me.
Now, what have we not talked about in the remaining time that we have that you might think is important to share?
So one thing that comes to the top of my head that could be really important would be, find out what resources are available in your county, in your area, because again, I live with my partner. We're renting a 1-bedroom apartment, and there's only one income coming in right now. And if it wasn't for these resources providing free food, providing financial assistance, it would be hard on me right now, So I think just get involved. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and, wear your mask. Stay safe, stay sanitized. That's what I would say. Just find out what resources are available to you.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll let the rest of you respond to that if you have any thoughts about it. It did bring up some ideas for me, but I'll see whatever ideas you all might have in the time that we have to share. Any?
Very
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear what Henrietta said.
Oh, I was saying that what Gabriella said just now brought up some ideas for me. But before I share my ideas, I wanted to know if the rest of you had any other thoughts
So
that you would like to share that we haven't talked about.
So Voices has, because we think that resources are very important as well. So what we've done is we've started to keep a running log of all the different resources in San Mateo County that comes in. So when someone sends us an email about food being free in some location, we share that out with everyone in our distribution list, as well as keeping that resource in a log, so that if people call, we have these resources where we can direct people to where they can go and get help, because it is important. And it's a lot of people right now needing and requiring some type of assistance.
Mary,
I
any ideas?
was going to add to the question before that you had of what we can do to help deal and cope. Meditation while we're at home, okay? So time for intro reflection, to think about the things that we don't get the time to think about, to slow down and do that, to look at all the resources that are available to us out there, because I live in San Benito County, and they have limited resources, whereas the larger counties have more because they have more people. However, they're all over the place, and then they're coming from the state also. So be aware of all resources out there, and this will help minimize your anxiety, help minimize your stress about the uncertainty of the future, because you can say, well, maybe I won't be able to go to that job or get that check, but there is unemployment I can apply for, and there is the stimulus package, and there is, there are these other resources that are out there for homeowners or for renters, or they're pouring out, just we have to tap into them and not get frustrated because there are so many people going after them. Then, sometimes the sites go down, but to hang in there and remember that we are all in this together.
Yes, so famous last words. They can be yours, Crystal. Do you have anything to share that you haven't shared, that you don't think that we have shared that should be shared?
So I would say, I have a couple of things real quick. I would suggest that people really monitor their social media and media diets. Watch what goes in your head, in your brain. Don't be afraid to delete people or snooze people who are constantly publishing all these bad facts that we're reading. And the other thing is just to focus on the things that we can control. We can't control the virus, but we can control keeping ourselves safe, what we do in our own homes, how we connect to other people. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, it's important for us to, in this new environment, to learn how to tolerate uncertainty. And how you can do that is back to what Dr. Mary was saying: meditate, exercise, do some mindfulness techniques. We have to learn how to tolerate not knowing what's going on every minute of every second of every day.
Well, thank you. Those were very important last words from all of you. Very important. First words, middle words, last words. And so I think we've gotten some insights into how we can live our lives the way we hadn't lived them before, since we're in a time that we're facing, where we're challenged to deal with reality that we've never experienced before. So I'd like to thank the five of you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
What we can do to maintain our mental balance. So thank you very much, Greg, Gabriella, Crystal, Sharon, and Mary Bains.
Quick question before we leave. Would everyone be okay with me taking a picture?
I'm fine with it.
Sure.
I'll send it to you. If Henrietta, I'll send it to you and you can send it out to everyone else.
Okay, that's fine.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On that, I'll say goodbye. Bye to everyone. Stay
Bye.
well.
Nice to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you, Crystal. I'd like to have your email. I'd like to have some of those recipes.
It's a pleasure.
Sure. If you
Thank you for having us, Henrietta.
Henrietta can share it with you.
Okay.
Email.
Great. Thank you.
I would like to speak with you too, Crystal. Okay.
Okay. You can get my email from Henrietta.
All right.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Henrietta.
Right. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Well, that's it. That's the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you walked away with some tips about some of the things that you can do to stay mentally healthy. I look forward to seeing you the next time on Talking with Henrietta.